Our role is to establish people in their truest identity. We're focused on identity, not behavior. If you establish the right identity, the right behavior will follow. If you're working on their behavior, you will establish that negativity. Because all you're giving them is something difficult to focus on. You understand what I'm saying here? We move in the opposite spirit. That's why Jesus said, I'm giving you the power of instead. A mantle of praise instead of a spirit of fainting. So, I'm not going to counsel you in your depression. I'm going to teach you how to worship God at a higher level. I'm going to give you a mantle of praise. You know? You're mourning right now. I'm going to give you the oil of joy. You understand how God thinks here? See, here's the disconcerting thing about the Lord. He thinks about everything on earth from the standpoint of how everything is like in heaven. That's why Jesus came praying, on earth as it is in heaven. Yeah? So God is actually bringing something from heaven to replace something on earth that doesn't work. So if we want to turn the church around, let's get hold of those initiators and those enablers, and let's transform them by the renewing of their mind. Let's work on them. Let's take the messages from last night and today, and let's just work on it. Let's just say, this is the culture we want to establish. Are we all on board? Because the key thing about leaders, it has to be in me first. So all of our leadership, we all have to change. We all have to embrace something. We all have to create that environment in that leadership relationship. This is who we are. This is how we're doing things. Then when we bring up the enablers, what we're doing is we're saying to our leaders, you are now mentoring these people. And when we mentor the enablers, they become something more. And the enablers are the ones that go out and meet the resistors. And here's the thing too, is nobody in your neighborhood, saved or unsaved, is safe. Because we don't have two ways. We don't have one way of seeing the unsaved and one way of seeing the saved. We see everyone the same way. That's why I don't like calling them unbelievers. I like calling them pre-Christians. Yeah? So when Teresa and I, last story, then we'll quit. When Teresa and I moved into this new subdivision, we had a brand new house. And when we first went to look at it, there was just all this waste ground and 4 houses. There was enough lots there for like 34 houses, but only 4 had been built. And none of them had been sold. And so I went and I said to them, so they told me the asking price. And so I told them the price I was going to pay. And they said, well, we can't actually give it to you for that price. I said, sure you can. Because you need someone living on this land who's got favor. And I have favor. So I am prepared to sell you my favor for the difference between what you're asking and what I'm going to give you. So they came back with a counter offer, which is like halfway between. They said, we'll meet you halfway. I said, ain't no halfway with favor. So I said, listen, so I renamed my original offer, and I said, and I want you to pay the closing costs, and I want to be in this house in 4 weeks. And this is what I'll do. When we get in this house, Teresa and I will walk the land, and we will pray, and people will come in, and they'll start buying lots, and you'll start to build. And he said, I can't say that. I can't get on the phone and say that to my boss. I said, sure you can. He can't kill you. It's illegal in the state of California. All he can do is say no. You're not afraid of no. I'm not afraid of no. So he came back and he said yes. I'm thinking, duh. So we move in, we start praying. Within 10 days, the other 3 houses are sold. So then we carry on praying, and they sell 11 lots in the next month or 5 weeks. So Teresa and I were seeing all these houses start to be built. So every day when we're at home, when the contractors leave, we go and pray on that concrete pad. We're praying for that home, praying for that house. As they start the whole framing process and everything, they get to the sheetrock stage. We went in there and we wrote blessings. We wrote prophetic words in the cavity of all the walls. We took photographs of every stage of the development for every single house, from a hole in the ground to the finished thing. We took photographs inside. We took photographs of the blessings. We wrote prophetic words. We wrote scriptures. We wrote particular blessings because we were praying for that family. And then as families began to move in, we went around and we gave them this photograph album. And we said, this is, we've had so much fun. Teresa and I are Christians. We live at 705. We've been praying for your home since it first started to be built. This is the photographic, pictorial gallery of your house being built. And this is the prayer that we prayed. We wrote it out over your house. These are the blessings that we wrote in the cavities of your walls. I mean, so that whole subdivision is ours. Belongs to us. So, and everyone's going, this is amazing. And a few months later, about, 6 or 9 months later, I'm at the mailbox. Guy comes out of the house and I say, hey, Jim, how's it going? And he said, well, man, I've just been made redundant. I said, wow, what happened? He said, well, the job that brought me out here, best job I've ever had, best money I've ever had. That's why we're living in a house like this. We didn't get an order that we were counting on. And so they're laying people off and, it's last in, first out. So I'm stood there, and he's just like, now what do I do? And I'm thinking, hang on a minute. I said, Jim, in your, I think it's your living room wall cavity next to the chimney area, I wrote something. I'm pretty sure I wrote, there will never be unemployment in this house. Dude, go and get your photograph album that I gave you. He's like, what? I said, dude, go get it. He went, okay. So we went through it, and there it is. There will never be unemployment in this house. I said, man, you got a promise from God. He said, but I'm not a believer. I said, it's okay. He believes enough for both of you. Which is true, right? So I said, dude, you got a promise. He said, well, what do I do? I said, well, right now, you and I, we're just going to stand on this promise, and I am going to pray for you that you will get a better job than the one that brought you out here. He went, you can do that? We could do anything. We're in Christ. We can do anything. Yeah? So I prayed for him. I said, what I want you to do is I want you to look at that promise, and every single day, I want you just to say to the Lord, Lord, you gave me a promise that I would not be unemployed. He said, I can do that? I said, sure you can. You just open your mouth and say it. I can do that? Yeah, you can do it because God was previous. God gave you that word because he knew what was going to happen. He went, wow. 3 weeks later, I'm driving down the street, just turning into my driveway. There's Jim going with his dog to walk out to the park. And so I get out and say, hey, Jim, how's it going? He comes up to me. He grabs hold of me. He said, I've just got the best job. He said, it's amazing. I said, did you pray that thing? He said, dude, I prayed it like 12 times a day. He said, here's the thing. Every time I got scared, I prayed it. And I would have like this peace. And so now he's walking around our little subdivision telling everybody, and everyone's getting their photographs album out thinking, what? That's so much fun.